Hey mates, how is life behind bars? Not these bars, these bars. It's been too long. I think it's been about 6 weeks since I did my last video. This is the trouble when you have a 2-week road trip. Well, actually 16 days. I did 16 days riding down to Sicily through Corsica and Sardinia and then back up through Italy. But obviously the 2 weeks prior to going away, super busy just trying to get things ready. As soon as I get back, we've then got another couple of weeks of just crazy mad time catching up with everything. There's your 6 weeks. But I just wanted to bring this video to you, just tying up, not like an end of an era or an end of a season, but just before the new R1300GS Adventure turns up, because that is arriving here on the 24th of October. So as soon as that gets here, there's going to be a lot of content on that. We need to get quite a bit of work done to it in that first week. One of the things we need to do is actually put a load of mileage on there so we get it through its first running in service before I then ride it to Milan on the 1st of November. So if you're going to Milan at the EICMA bike show, please come to the Chiggy stand and you'll see our new R1300GS Adventure there on the stand, obviously with a Chiggy attached to it, and you get to see me there. I'll be there for the first few days. Unfortunately, I've got to fly back because I then need to go on another little trip away with my wife because I haven't been away with her this summer yet. And then I've got a very good friend of mine who'll be riding the new R1300 GSA back to the UK at the end of the EICMA bike show. I just want to talk to you about the bike because now I've done over 6,000 miles and I want to let you know what I think of it, because if you've been following the channel, you'll know that I did a load of mileage off-road before I actually took it on road. I think I'm on my 3rd set of tyres now. I've had road tyres, I've had off-road tyres. The tyres that are on here right now, which are currently not even road legal because I've worn them down to the bare minimum, are the Metzeler Sportec M9RR. Really, really sporty tyre, phenomenal on road. Like, I really was worried about doing that kind of mileage, 4,200 miles on that big road trip, 16 days, 7, 8 hours, sometimes 10 hours in the saddle. I loved every minute. I was worried because I'm 6'4", I was worried about my knees getting knee ache because of the riding position on the R1300 because it is physically a smaller bike, but I was fine. I had no knee ache whatsoever. It's the best GS I have ever owned. I swear, my hand on my heart, I love this bike so much. It does everything I want it to. Everyone says, isn't it not a bit too small for you? Because obviously I've got a bent knee when I'm sat on it and I've got my feet on the ground. I've got very, very much visibly bent knees. But that gives me the confidence to properly off-road this bike and to turn it in the gravel, not drop it, although it's been dropped countless times. I can't remember how many times I've dropped this bike, but it's gone down quite a lot. But it's always been in the wet mud so far, not on the gravel. Having that low frame, it gives me the confidence to ride it off-road the way I do and as often as I do. So we're going to be taking off these worn Sportec tyres off the the M9RRs, and putting back on the Metzeler Torrents. I've only done about 500 miles on them, so I'm going to put that back on, and then for spring next year, I'll get some off-road tyres put back on the bike so we can take it back out on the green lanes, because I love this bike, what it can do off-road. It's just, it's what I like. But there is some thoughts about me getting my hands on something like a 690 Rally Enduro kind of bike. I keep looking for one of those at the moment because they look and they sound incredible. Or should I go down the Tenere T7 route? I'm not sure right now. Let's wait and see what we see at EICMA. But I am looking for that kind of like big bike off-road without great big pots sticking out the side like the GS has got. Or maybe I'll just stick with what I've got. I don't know. Right, but there's been things happening since my last video, since I even showed you the R1300 here earlier in the year, more products. And the thing is, even though I post all the time on our Instagram channel, I appreciate a lot of people on here on YouTube don't get to see all of the new things that we've got going on. So let's start off with the exhaust. Now, a lot of you know that I've got the Jekyll and Hyde exhaust on here. If you missed the video where I did a comparison between the Akrapovic aftermarket exhaust, the Akrapovic factory exhaust, and the Jekyll and Hyde, then please watch that. There's another video coming very soon showing the Akrapovic decatted titanium headers. Now, I'm waiting for that to land here any day now. I've got stock of them arriving as well. They are super, super expensive. I've personally heard one in the flesh when I was at Garmisch earlier in the year on a BMW 1300 GS with the factory Akrapovic double can on there. and it sounded pretty good. So I can't wait to hear what that sounds like with the aftermarket Acura exhaust, which I think looks better, and then also with the Jekyll and Hyde. So that's going to sound pretty epic. But those of you who are in the market to really give your R1300GS the best sound possible, you're going to need to be putting aside around £1,700, that's British pounds, for that exhaust. It's quite expensive. Now, when you see it, it looks like it's got a catalytic converter still on there, but it hasn't. What they did at Acura is because I speak to the guys at Acura, and what they did is they made it without the cat like they did on the R1200 and the R1250, so it's straight through, but it sounded naff. Now, I've heard, without mentioning names, but I have heard the Arrow exhaust straight through, and I'm glad I haven't bought them now because it sounds awful. You may as well just take the whole exhaust off and go down the road with nothing, because it's a proper raw tractor sound. Yeah, I know you're laughing. The GS is a tractor anyway, whatever. But this Acura, what they've done, they made it without the cat. Then they realized it sounded rubbish, and they said, we can't put our name to that. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a sound box. So we give it that true Akrapovic sound coming through the exhaust. And I think they've nailed it, because I heard it at Garmisch and it sounds really, really good. But I just can't wait to hear it with the Jekyll and Hyde can as well. Reason being is we can just tone it down whenever we want to, and we can't do that with the Acura. It's either all or nothing, so it's all about having those options. So that video will be coming very soon. I've got to squeeze that in, and we still don't know if that new decatted header or the Jekyll and Hyde is going to work on the R1300GS Adventure. I'm sure it will. But stay tuned here. You'll find out from me if it works, because we're going to fit it, because we're going to keep this bike and we're going to keep the GS Adventure for the next year or so. We'll be constantly bringing out new products for both bikes, and you'll be hearing about it all on here. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. Now, if you also look on the bike behind me, we have the Jekyll and Hyde carbon cover. So that carbon cover that you see on my bike, that is only if you've got the Jekyll and Hyde can. If you want to add that to your bike because you've bought the Jekyll and Hyde can, then we are stocking those right now here at A Bike Thing. If it says it's in stock, it means it's in stock, all right? So if you order that, and we get one of those sent out to you. If, however, you've still got a stock exhaust on there, or you've got an Acura exhaust, we've also got the Akrapovic carbon covers, which I did actually have on this bike before Jekyll and Hyde bought out their carbon cover. But that's the right carbon cover for the Jekyll and Hyde. But we've got both. We've got the Acuras, which you can just fit to your bike without having to change the exhaust. Just gets rid of that big block of plastic that you've got on your current R1300GS, and you can swap it out for the Akrapovic carbon fiber exhaust cover, which looks pretty sweet. If you are paying really close attention, you'll notice that I've got rid of my factory tail tidy. Now, my bike was spec'd with front and rear radar. This has been a bit of a voyage of discovery, because I don't care for radar. However, I do like it on the front, but I have found it can be a little bit unpredictable. So front radar, before we start talking about my tail tidy, front radar, you're going along, you've got your radar cruise control on, and all of a sudden there's nothing in front of you, but your bike decides it wants to slow down. You're thinking, why is it doing that? Makes you very nervous. Obviously thinks something's come in front of it, but it hasn't. But I still like to have it on there, and it hasn't been too bad recently. Maybe we just need to keep the front nice and clean, so no dirt or debris in front of that radar causing issues. I don't fully understand the science behind the whole radar, but I do want to keep that front radar. Now, if you're also looking very closely, you notice the front windscreen. I used to have a short windscreen with a race number on there, but for my road trip, I wanted something a little bit bigger to try and keep the wind off me on those on the motorways. But saying that, you know, I wouldn't say this one did a better job. It looks good because the whole front windshield goes down over the radar, and I was worried that was going to conflict with the radar, but it doesn't. So those of you who thought, because I know I've heard people say, if you get the larger screen that goes over the radar, that's going to affect the operation of your radar, but that's not true, because I've had mine in the down position over my radar, and the front radar's been working fine. It's just on those odd occasions you're just going along, and all of a sudden you're finding it starts slowing down, and I'm thinking, why are you doing that? And there's nothing in front of me. It can be a bit unnerving if you don't know it's about to happen. So with the rear radar, I'm not a big fan of rear radar. We sell loads of the in-of blind spot detection systems. But me personally as a rider, I'm not a big fan of rear radar. I don't need something in my wing mirrors flashing up telling me that there's something coming down the right-hand side of me. It's just more information. Wasps. I would rather just rely on my own perception of my shoulder checks. I don't want something that might take away that shoulder check. I also don't want something that's going to make me second think about, was my shoulder accurate right? Because sometimes I find that radar can pick at something 2 lanes away rather than the one that's right there in the lane. So for me, it's all about just using your neck, looking over your shoulder and seeing what's going on. So for that reason, I didn't care for the rear radar, and I don't think the rear radar looks especially very nice on the R1300. I want a sporty tail on this bike. It's the sportiest looking GS they do to date. So I want that tail end to look sporty. So at first, I got in touch with our friends at Cymark, who are here in the UK. He's very quick at turning things around. I said to him, I can't remember his name, Mark. I said to Mark, I said, can you do us a tail tidy for the R1300? He says, yeah, sure. At first, I thought he was making it just for a bike thing, but he ended up making it, and he sells it there. You can buy it from Cymark direct if you want to. We are also stocking it here. I put it on the bike. It does the job well, but for me, it hasn't got the fit and finish that I really want. Being a bit of a perfectionist myself, I like a really nice fit and finish. When you put the Cymark tail tidy on, you can still see the wires coming in. So as you look down the top, you can see the wires coming in from the indicators and disappearing into the back of the bike. I don't personally like that. But it did the job, and that is the tail tidy that I used on my road trip as well, and it looked great. By the time I got all my bags and soft luggage on the bike, it disappeared, so you couldn't notice at all, and I had a nice tidy tail on the back of my bike. But since I've been back from my road trip, Rizoma have just delivered a nice delivery of tail tidies in it. This is the Rizoma Fox tail tidy. That's what's on the bike now. Really, really tidy tail. It's Rizoma. If you haven't heard of Rizoma, wherever you've been, they are super expensive, high premium stuff. Yeah, and the whole expensive thing, not great, and it's cost me an arm and a leg because I stock this stuff. I don't get it on credit, unfortunately. I have to buy it. So we have got quite a bit of this Rizoma stuff in stock, but there has been quite a few requests from you saying you want it. So if it says it's in stock on our website, it means it's in stock. You can confidently buy it, and we will get that dispatched to you as soon as possible, within 24 hours on a business working day. And then obviously however many days it's going to take after that. We use DHL, we use their premium service, so we don't use any cheap budget service. It means the parcel gets to you in the quickest amount of time. We get people on our Trustpilot telling us that they get their shipments from us within 1 to 2 days, next day or the day after, on the west coast of America. So it's very, very quick. We're quicker than, like, if you are in America, because majority of our sales are in America actually rather than the UK. Please do not hesitate. If you want to buy from us, then thank you very much. I will assure you we'll get it to you faster than what you can generally buy locally in the States. The DHL service across the pond is quicker than ground services by USPS. I also want to draw your attention to the Innov K7 dash cam system I've got on this bike. I did have the choice of having the Chiggy AI05 Lite, which I used to have on this bike, but then their new product, the BMW Edition Play, came out, and I kind of like needed to put that on there and put the original cradle back in. I actually personally like the AI05 Lite because it's an all-in-one solution. It's very, very tidy on the crossbar. You remove your cradle and you've got a really, really nice fit and finish with a camera system as well. And going back to blind spot detection, it's got that on there too. But we've put the Innov system on here, and we've got our own dash cam holder solution, which you can buy from us here. This is a BMW factory product. We have the tooling and a jig here where we remove the section of that front grille away, and then we fit in the rubber mount, which we've had made earlier in the year, just slot straight into there, so you can then push the camera straight in. It's a perfect fit and finish. It's also a perfect fit and finish for the Chiggy cameras as well. So whether you have an Innov dash cam system on your R1300GS or a Chiggy dash cam system, they'll both fit. On the rear of my bike, I got Tom to go back to the drawing board and spend a bit of time making sure it looked as good as it can be. So as you can see on the back of the tail, there is the rear K7 camera mounted to it. He's fabricated something at the back, bent it into shape so it looks all right. I'm happy with it. It does the job. It's nice and central. You could side sling it off the side indicator if you wanted to. So just remember, we sell the in-off K7s here with the mounts. You know what to do. Get clicking and we'll get shipping. Those of you who are paying even closer attention to previous videos, or you follow us on TikTok and Instagram, Facebook, etc., you'll also notice I don't have D3s on here anymore. I personally like the D3 lights on the R1300. I think it's probably one of the best looks for this bike. But we had a customer with a K1600. We installed the lights. We told him we did not recommend the placement for these lights. And I'm probably giving you too much information here, but he still wanted them where they were. He went around his first corner and he scraped both of the D7s. So me being me, trying to be as nice as I can, I didn't think it was fair to actually offer him a returns facility for this because he wanted them in that place. He made that decision to keep them in that position. So I thought, you know, we don't want any bad blood. So I said to him, do you know what? I wouldn't mind a pair of D7 Pros on my R1300. I don't mind if they're a bit scratched. I'm dropping this bike more often than not anyway. So I'll have them off you. So I bought them back from him, and I'm hoping he's now a happy customer now. But so these D7 Pros are on my bike. I've got them set up on 2 circuits for the secondary light circuit. So when we indicate, the yellow side goes off so you can see the amber indicator clearer on the bike. And then when I hit full beam, the 3rd circuit kicks in, and I've got that going down a Y splitter. So we've got both full beams on both D7 Pros on 1 circuit coming on at full beam. Super, super bright. All the guys I was riding with noted how bright these lights are. They are good. And I don't think they're too overpowering in size on the R1300, but I think I do still prefer the D3s on the R1300 from an aesthetics point of view. But I think the aesthetics on the D7 Pros on this still look pretty good too. And that brings me on just to remind you that we are probably, I know I'm biased, but we are the best at this, the bike themed bundles. I have invested so much of my time and resources into making sure our bundles give you everything you need and doesn't give you too much, and certainly doesn't give you too little. Because one of the concerns I had when I bought my first load of Denali, before a bike thing was even a thing, I went to go and buy this stuff, and you buy stuff, it'd arrive, the bike's in bits, and then you realize there's something missing, and then you order again, and you're wasting money on extra shipping when you just wish you ordered everything at the right time. So please make sure you go onto the bike thing bundle section on our website so you can see the way we put the bundles together for you. You can't really get it wrong. All you need to do is select your bike on the drop down, and then select the bike thing bundles, pick the light pair you like the look of. If you pick a D7 Pro bundle, we make sure that based on the selections, whether you want a sound bomb, a rear light, and how you want your D7 Pros to function, we make sure you always get the right quantity of wiring and connections in the bundle. And then when you hit add to basket, you'll see all of the individual products sitting there in your basket before you commit to purchase. So please don't miss out on looking at that. Just go on there and have a play on the bundles so you can see exactly what you need to get all this on your bike. I almost forgot to mention, and this is the thing I'm really excited about, because the GS911, if you haven't seen that video, please, the link up above, link down below. Because the GS911, actually saying that, no, on the 1300, you don't even need the GS911 to do what I'm going to tell you. But the GS911, if you've got an R1200 and R1250, you can put all the lean angle stuff on there. That stuff already comes as standard on the 1300s. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but because I've got these sporty tyres on there and we're hitting all these mountain roads, and this bike is so flickable, it's just so good. But you're constantly checking your lean angle as you come out of a corner. You're looking down thinking, oh, I've got 42 degrees, or oh, I've got 43 degrees. I got this over at 50 degrees. I come from a bit of a sports bike background, so I know what it's like to get your knee down. I've got race leathers with nicely grounded down kneecaps and stuff, so I know what it's like to get your knee down. I've never got my knee down on a GS. I don't think I'm ever going to try. You've got to hang off the bike to do that anyway, really. But I do scrape my toes a hell of a lot because I'm achieving that great lean angle. But my brand new billet aluminium Gillies Enduro foot pegs, take a look at them. I've grounded them down both sides because we were hitting 50-degree lean angles. When I say we, I think it was just me. 50 degrees, like what do MotoGP riders get? They get like, they get a lot more actually. I think they get like 60, 61 plus. But you know, those guys are lying down with their elbows on the floor. But 50 degrees, don't go out there and try and get it if you're not getting it, because I don't want to be responsible for anyone coming off their bikes. I have some close shaves. Like when I was hitting 49, 50 degrees, this thing was squirming around corners. Yeah, it's just so good with the traction control off as well. This bike is just, it's so good, so good. The chap at my local BMW dealer who actually swapped my tyres over just before the trip, he actually loved these Sportec tyres. He said, you're going to be getting your crash bars down. I haven't, I wasn't grinding them down, but it couldn't have been far. The fact I've grounded down both the pegs, and bearing in mind, those pegs, they're not standard factory pegs. They're slightly up and they're contoured at a different angle. So they're not as low to the ground as the factory ones. So, you know, you should be scraping your pegs probably at like 44, 45. I'm very proud of those scraped pegs. Very proud of them indeed. And if you want a pair of these pegs on your 1300 or your 1250, because it's the same fit, then we've got them in stock here. These are the Enduro ones, which are fantastic because I do off-road this. They get caked in mud. One quick tap, the mud falls straight out, which makes them safer for traction between the peg and your boot. But if you want the really, really glitzy ones, like on my last R1300 GSA, then we've got those in stock as well. They are the Adventure peg by Gillies. The new R1300 GS Adventure will be here on the 24th of October. The bike has already been, I've already been told it's here. I've already got my registration plate for it as well. And it's funny actually, because the registration plate is identical to my R1250 GS Adventure, just one digit different. So instead of FJ70 UBT, Ultimate Bike Thing, get it? Ultimate Bike Thing. It's FJ74 Ultimate Bike Thing, UBT. So that will be picking it up in the trailer, 24th, doing about a week's worth of work to it, getting a whole new graphics kit put on there by Shred Graphics, which I'll do one big grand reveal for you. Try and get that done before I ride that down to EICMA on the 1st of November. I should also mention the Chiggy. The Chiggy has been fantastic. Now, bearing in mind, I have a very, very good line of communication between me and Chiggy. So I've got them on WhatsApp. I can speak to them, you know, I can speak to the people who count there whenever I want. And their customer support is fantastic. So because I've just done 4,200 miles using this and only this, then I have been finding out a few little gremlins in it, but they've been solved. They were solved whilst I was actually on the road trip, and those updates come out globally. My recommendation to you is, if you've got any Chiggy device, because this company are extremely proactive, then just keep an eye on your update screen. Go to the update, make sure you got the latest firmware. Sometimes they can update it twice a week. So obviously, if you're happy with your device, there's no call to action to go and make that update. But as and when you are, if you get the opportunity, just go to the update screen and hit that update. So for me, we had the problem, which some of you might relate to, where you've got the kilometers an hour and miles per hour. And on the dashboard, I've obviously got miles per hour because I work with miles per hour, but the actual numbers on the screen were higher, which told me, hang on, that it's reporting KMH, not MPH. But one quick WhatsApp to my contact at Chiggy, and it was resolved within 24, 36 hours. So great, really, really great guys. We also had a couple of dropouts where you're just driving along. This only happened a couple of times, which I agree is completely frustrating. The recommendation here was to make sure you cancel all connections. So sometimes you might see multiple connections in your Bluetooth and your Wi-Fi to the Chiggy device. Just go through, hit forget, cancel all connections, forget all of them like it's a brand new device, and reconnect. Obviously firmware update as well, and then I had no problems at all. They're always ironing out any issues and stuff, but the important thing is that they are on it all the time. So other than that, the Chiggy is fantastic, and it was wonderful to be able to have the ability to take it off the cradle and take it into my room to do some of these updates as well. Otherwise, I'd have had to park my bike as close to the hotel as possible to get that Wi-Fi connection to do a lot of these updates. So that was quite handy. Okay, that's it for now. That's it from me. And I will hopefully bring another video very soon showing the delivery of the R1300 GS Adventure by But I also do want to do a video on Touratech luggage. I've got tons and tons of Touratech luggage here, hard luggage. So for your adventure bike, your R1300 GS Adventure or your GS, I've got loads and loads of hard luggage. Can you see us? I didn't even mention, can you see the new building behind me? We've got loads more storage space here now. We've also got new members of staff here. We've had some people leave and we've had some, new people arrive, and we've got a couple of guys who have recently started here who've transformed my stock and my stock room. I'm fitting double the amount in there. The organisation here has just gone up to another level because of the new staff I've got on here. Fantastic, very, very pleased. So until next time, stay safe behind bars, not these bars, and I'll see you in the next video.